Hello beautiful souls. Before we even start the video, I want you to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then there's that little bell thing that you have to push for notifications, so every time I make a new video, you'll be notified. And then afterwards, if you find that this would be helpful for someone, or if you've related to it, share it. Spread the love. We're all in this together. My personal story, told in a timeline fashion. The first video I made about my personal story was very broad, and that was a lot of information, and that was very difficult for me to share at that point. But I have received so much support and so much love and questions, so I figured, why not? Let's get really raw. Let's get really transparent. So I'm gonna do this in a timeline fashion. Every video is going to include certain age groups, and so I hope you stay tuned. I'm Desi, and I am sending you lots of love from my heart to yours and positive vibes. Take it, take it, take it. So this was really hard for me to decide how to present this, because I don't want it to be presented in a really shocking way or a how is this girl doing this? I want it to be told in a way where if something similar has happened to you, I want you to know that it's okay and safe to share it and to reach out if you need to talk about it, and not to keep it inside and not to be ashamed. So I'm going to start with like 2 to 7. We're going to start there, kind of with the things that I can really remember. And like I said, my childhood was pretty good. I mean, overall. That's how I have to look at it now. And the only reason that I can share my story in a way where I'm not dimming my light, or it's because I've owned it and I've accepted it, and I've really learned why it happened and how to teach other people to avoid similar things happening to them. So when I was 2, my mother, well, let's back up. My mom had me at 17. My biological father was 16. And around the age of 2, my mother drove me to my father's house. And she had suffered years, they were so young, had been together for so long, and she had suffered years of physical abuse and mental abuse, not only from him, but from this family. And so she pulled up into the driveway, and my biological father and her were fighting, and he jumps into the driver's seat with me in the back, and he starts doing donuts and just acting crazy. Well, meanwhile, his father comes out, and he's getting involved, pulls him out of the car. I'm not sure really what happened first, but he was getting beat up, or my mom was getting beat up, and then next thing I'm told is that my aunt is coming out, getting me out of the car, and running off into the woods with me. What I was told was that my mother woke up in a hospital bed, and that was when she decided that she wasn't going to live like that anymore, and she wasn't going to put me through another situation like that. And I start off with this story because that's like the first big bad memory that I have. And so she met another man, and my mom worked second shift. So this man was always taking care of me and getting me ready for school, and he liked to go hunting, and I was always going hunting with him, and I became really close with him. And they ended up getting married. And when I was about 3 or 4, I had a babysitter, and this babysitter had 2 daughters. And I remember them watching videos, pornographic videos, and it was of women. And so these daughters would make me do things and reenact the things that they saw in these videos. Not only things like that, but I was really tortured, and I was forced to do things by 2 teenage girls that were sisters, and I was too afraid to say anything. I was little. And I guess how it ended and how I was able to not go there anymore was my mother coming home or coming to pick me up, and she's catching the babysitter, the mother, doing blow while I'm there, and they get into this physical fight, and then I'm taken out of that situation. So back to my dad. Well, he wasn't even my dad at this point. He was just the man that was there. I have this thing. It's annoying. He was the only father figure that I knew. And they only stayed married for 5 years. So it was around the age of 7 that they ended up getting divorced. Well, after they got divorced, they sat me down and they talked to me, and my dad told me that even though they were going to be getting divorced, that he wanted to adopt me because I was the only thing that he knew, or that I knew, and I was this little girl at this point. So for a man who's divorcing a woman whom he was only married to for 5 years, decides that he wants to take on the responsibility of someone else's child as his own, like, that's how my last name became Bradford. Well, there's a process to, an adoption, and you have to notify the biological father or parent. Well, guess where my biological father was? My biological father was serving time in jail for attempted murder. So all they had to do was put an ad in the paper looking for my biological dad, and obviously he didn't see it. So my daddy, Bradford, was unable to adopt me, and I was able to have a potentially much better life than I would have had if I would have been in the previous situation. The stories that I heard, I wanted to write a book. And, it's not my place to really go into detail of my family's history, but all I did was always hear rumors about how bad my biological family was and how my mom and family were so desperate to get me away. And, later on I did meet my biological family, which I'll tell you about in later videos, that my nana was the one who put a shotgun to my biological father's forehead and said if he came around again that he was going to regret it. That's the story I was told. Don't know if it's true, but it sounded interesting, and go Nana up there. So I want to kind of give some perspective on why things happen to kids and children, and why do children get diseases, or why do they suffer abuse? And, children are a lot more powerful than we know. Our thoughts, our beliefs, that's what creates our reality. And children are creating and thinking before they're even able to verbalize it. And to get really esoteric and into the quantum world, before we even came into this world, we chose what we were coming into. Some of us knew that we were going to go into really bad situations because it's from those bad situations, that balance of it. If it's really bad, the good has to be really good. And it's only from things like that are we able to evolve into the people that we are today. And I know it's a very hard thing to accept, but children we are all energetic beings. Everything's energy, whether you want to accept it or not. Everything's energy. We can talk to each other on cell phones because of energy. We can read MRIs and things like that. Energy. Everything is energy. And when we're small children and we're in an environment that's either toxic or, just the words that they hear or the energy that's surrounding them, the children, they're absorbing that. And then that is what they're radiating, and then that in return is what they're attracting. And then that's on complete default. So this is kind of a lesson on being really aware of what you're emitting and what you have the potential to create. So unfortunately, we have to get to a point where, and it's not even an unfortunate thing, but we have to get to a point where we can accept and take responsibility that whatever is happening to us, we are doing it to ourselves. We are attracting everything that's happening to us, whether we want to accept it or not. If you read books on law of attraction, this is what I am encouraging you, is to read books on law of attraction and the law of vibration, and look up Abraham Hicks and Dr. Joe Dispenza, who talks about quantum physics and epigenetics and how there is no such thing as a cancer gene. There's crazy things out there that if you research and really dive deep into wanting to know why we're here and the potential that you really do have inside that's not taught, you will be so obsessed with wanting to learn more, and you'll learn that it's all about expansion. It's all about taking in all of those bad things and really learning how to look at them and to accept them, and then really rise above, and you really have the potential to create any kind of life that you desire. And if you were suffering some really bad things, your desire to do good and to be good, it's strong, because that's what's happening to me. I want to take every bad thing that's happened to me. I can either say thank you because it's made me who I am, or I can laugh at it because that's in the past. The only thing that matters is now. Now. Right now we have to take responsibility for how we're feeling and the vibes that we're putting out, the words that we're speaking. Stop the negative self-talk. This kind of went off on a little rant, but I really want everyone to know that no matter what has happened in your life, that you can rise above and you can take it, and you can take that bad stuff that's happened and use it as fuel to just make your life better. Want to make your life better. Stop playing the victim role. Stop having a victim mentality, because it's only you that can make your life better, and you have the choice, and you have to make the choice now. I love you, and I hope you have a good night.